What's up, fight fans? Big Tone here with Bobby B, also known as Teep to the Junk on Twitter, right?
Yeah, man.
We're
And a
gonna
couple shows. Yeah.
we're gonna be talking about Bellator 186. This is the round cage, named after Bellator's round cage. Um, Bobby B was actually at the event and got to see most of the main card fights. I'm not sure how sober he was, but he's gonna try to remember as much as he can. It was a pretty fun night, though. I take it.
Oh, it was badass. Start to finish, it was badass. It was a whirlwind for me. I wasn't just there for the fight, but yeah, man, It was rocking all kinds of angles of consumer satisfaction, especially getting a signed Hoist Gracie bobblehead, shaking his hand, getting a photo with him. That was cool as fuck. We got there. We had the e-tickets. We got in, and he was there just in front of the banner signing. We got in line behind probably 100 people.
Oh, he was in
And
there as
stayed
soon
all
as
the
you
way
walked
through.
in.
I'm pretty sure he was already there. I wasn't paying that much attention because I was looking for people from the gym because we had a fighter on the card. Don Shanis was on the card, so Red Line was out supporting him.
Shout out to
And,
Don Shanis.
But I noticed him. I was like, oh, shit, we're going to do this. So he might have just got there, but he was at least from 7 to 8:30. He was there like a warrior. He's tall, too. I didn't know he was that tall.
Yeah, that's pretty cool of him to be out there for a whole hour and a half just signing stuff and talking to fans.
It seems like part of the angle, Bellator and the Coker's taken is like really connect back with the history of the sport, bring in the legends, even if they're not always fighting. Just bring them in, let them be there, associate their name with the brand and just with the sport in general, and kind of weave everything in together. And I feel like the Bellator kickboxing is doing that as well. Like, weave it all in together. It's all good. Got the UFC talking about maybe doing boxing. Like bringing it into the fold. All these are good things. Combat sports are all variations of the same awesome thing. Got Ryzen doing special rules, open weight fights. It's a beautiful time right now in MMA.
For
But anyway,
sure.
so we're there, and I'm in line, and I'm talking to a guy, and he says he trains with Ward. Who was pulled
Brennan
from the
Ward?
card. And, yeah. No,
For
I
those,
didn't
for those who
verify
don't
this.
know, I was just gonna say, for those who don't know, Brennan Ward was originally supposed to fight Rickles, right?
Right, the caveman.
The caveman Rickles, and that fight had to get canceled.
Yeah, that pull really hurts them because Ward is a great draw at that venue. Connecticut, he's like the hometown guy.
Uh-huh.
And so I would say I would probably eyeball it maybe like 5,000 to 6,000 tops. Like the nosebleeds were half empty, and like the 3 or 4 sections behind the walkout, they were all closed completely. So if it's a 10,000 seater, I'd say by the second half of the main card, the lower levels were pretty full, but the nosebleeds about half full, which left me kind of salty because I was on the extreme top row.
I would have just
Looking
walked
at
down.
it from the heights. I thought about it then. I'm there with my wife and a DJ friend who we took as a guest, and some random guy I gave a ticket to because I had an extra ticket. Someone didn't show up, so I was just like, let's try and make somebody's night. So he asked me if I was selling it. I was like, no, here, I just want you to have this. So he came up and sat with us. We were all the way at the top, but I was storing all my bobbleheads. The people were leaving. When I check out and check back in from the casino, a couple times they just gave me another one. They had extra.
And you sent one to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, that's in the mail. You'll get that in 2 days. Get that in 2 days.
That's dope. Yeah, I have a Fedor one from Bellator 180. What was that? 185 in San Jose.
Yeah.
That was cool. But
I'm
yeah,
jealous. I'm highly jealous.
we'll find an extra one for you laying around.
Please,
somewhere.
I got to tell just a very, very short, brutally painful story. I'll never live this down. So I missed my chance to meet Fedor by being cheap and trying to avoid tolls, and I went through the woods in Connecticut. I guess it was in the winter because I'm pretty sure it was cold. Everything was frosted up. We lost GPS, and I missed meeting the guy by 20 minutes. And I think Kimbo was on that too. So You know,
Oh.
being cheap, just for a few dollars, however broke we were. It was the stupidest thing I might have ever done, and I miss meeting the guy himself. So you get me that bobblehead, I'll owe you one big time.
We'll find you one for sure. Fedor, obviously a legend. Uh, so, I mean, the prelims, there wasn't exactly, a whole lot of names on the prelims. Obviously, shout out to your boy, Don Shanis. Jordan Young also did well on the prelims, and up and coming. He's kind of a tweener. I don't think he knows if he wants to fight at 185 or 205 yet. But wherever he decides to fight, he'll be successful.
It seems like the sport's getting a lot deeper. I mean, it's not just the UFC and Bellator or Rising. You got M1 and One Championship and Fight Nights and all these different orgs. So the sport's getting so deep. We really do need more weight classes, I feel like.
Yeah, he's talked about that. He's talked about wanting the 195. There shouldn't be these big jumps, I don't think, because you're going 125, 135, 145, 155, and then you jump to 170, and then another jump to 185, 205. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's too much. Then you got heavyweight. Well, if you can't like perform optimally with a large weight cut, like a really large weight cut, as a light heavyweight, you're kind of like sized out of being viable, with a few exceptions. But
yeah, you have to be pretty huge to be a light heavyweight, barring, some incredible athletic, it's definitely a tough spot to be in.
Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just gonna talk about the main card, but go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like Shlemenko, like in this fight, a lot of people saying Sassy was gonna be way too much for him, and he never fought anyone like that. And, guy has a ton of wins himself, but because he lost to Tito, who's past his like the top echelon of light heavyweight, people were sort of misjudging what he could do versus a middleweight sized person. Because he's not that tall. I think he's like 5'11".
Yeah, I never understood that. Shlemenko steps up, takes this fight versus a light heavyweight. He's clearly he's a middleweight. He's 5'11", like you said. He's not a huge guy or anything. He's steps up.
Middleweight.
Yeah, he steps up and takes this fight versus Tito Ortiz. Just to see. And usually you would get praised for this, right? But instead he gets knocked for it, and people always want to bring this up. He didn't even hit the 205 mark when they weighed in. He couldn't even hit 205.
I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, he was like 201. He couldn't even make it up to 205.
Shit. He did a hendo. He was like, I'm not quite there at the top, but it's all good. Anyway.
So I think that's really unfair for people to knock him for that performance. He fought. Yeah, then I think that might have messed with him mentally, because then he had the loss to Halsey. It was right after that. But he's bounced back in a big way, and he went on a winning streak.
Got him back.
Yeah.
He lost to him. I think he got choked out, but he got him back.
He did get him back over in M1.
I don't think it was full spinning shit. I think it was just body kicks and punches or something like that. But he got him real quick. It was like 25 seconds or something.
Yeah, he hit him with a body blow of some kind, I remember, and the guy just crumpled. Yeah, definitely. And
I gotta watch that. Yeah.
And so, I mean, now he's on this winning streak, and I mean, if we're being honest here, I thought he beat Mousasi. I had him winning the last 2 rounds, and you could even have round 3 as a 10-8 round. I mean, Mousasi didn't do anything, noteworthy in that round. He didn't have any offense whatsoever. He was just basically surviving and getting beaten up.
He really was surviving, and you could hear the butt cheeks clenching in the arena. Like the whole story of the fight was, he got clipped hard early, and everyone was like, "Holy shit, this is a real fight!" And then, which they should have already known, but Mousasi is a legend, so it's easy to be like, this other guy is not a legend, but he's a Russian legend, and he came in and he clipped him so hard. And the rest of the fight, it was always like, Sassy was diving for him and taking him down and doing great work on the ground. But it's like, if he gets back up, every time he gets back up or a round starts, you're in trouble. And by the end of the fight, it was close. And I think a lot of people bet on Shlemenko. If they were clever, they bet on him. He shouldn't have been that much of a dog. He shouldn't have been like 6-1, 7-1, or whatever. It was.
It was great. It was definitely insane. It was like 8-1, I think, even. what when they announced the decision, it was hard to tell on TV, but I it seemed like on TV people were booing. What was your in? Obviously, we're there. What were you saying?
The two loudest boos of the night were when it looked like the ref was going to stop that mess early in the fight. We booed so loud. That was the loudest. That was the second loudest point of the night. The loudest point was the cheer when they let the fight go on. And the second loudest boo, and the only other really mass boo, was when they read that decision. And I don't think there were enough people betting on that fight. It was just them. A lot of people thought he won. I gave it to Musasi under unified rules, but Stockton rules, Pride rules, he won that shit. That was a great fight, though. It kind of works for Bellator. Safi keeps his win streak going. He's at 6 now. And he beat ex-UFC champ Weidman, beat ex-Bellator champ, and now whenever his eye heals, like probably a title shot. Unless him and Roy are just like, fuck titles. Let's do this serial killer thing.
Well, I feel like at some point Shlemenko should get a rematch. It was just kind of a shitty, and for that to be a unanimous decision, that definitely seems more like a split decision kind of result at the least. And then it's like, where do you go from here? I mean, like you said, he's probably going to get a title shot, but he's also hurt. And you heard Scott Coker in the post-fight scrum said that he wasn't sure what they were going to do because of the injury. So a lot of stuff is up in the air right now. There is the title fight going down in Italy, coming up pretty soon, right? They're doing the
I think it's in December.
That's the kickboxing, half kickboxing, half.
I think it's the second card in December.
Yeah,
maybe.
Bellator 190, Carvalho versus Sakura.
Yeah, Florence.
Alessio Sakura. That guy's been around forever.
But the roar, I should say, of the crowd when he won his last fight there. The roar of the crowd was like probably the loudest cheer Bellator ever had. It was like 13,000 fans. They went absolutely mental.
Which is this?
This was when Sakara won in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's why he got the title shot. It's nothing against him, but I feel like he got it because he got the kind of pop you can really promote from leading up to a title fight. And if they were aiming for moves, it all ties in. So.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, I love, obviously I have some Italian in me, but what has he done to really earn that title shot? No offense to him.
No, I get you, man. I'm in the same boat. I feel like it's like a filler fight of sorts. He might win, though. He's still badass, but
true.
Not in a position structurally within the organization where he should be getting a shot. Because you got guys like, let's have a look here. So Shlemenko, so he's gone like 6-0, 0-1. He had the NC for steroids, for all kinds of stuff. And controversial though, because there was no B sample, so that's a little shady. I don't like that shit.
I thought we were talking about Sakura, no? Or
yeah. I'm sorry, man. I'm being obtuse. So I'm just looking at what we got at the division as far as people who were more worthy. So Shlemenko, 7 fights unbeaten.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. You got John Salter, who's fighting Fedor team's Tokov.
That should be a good one.
Coming up. That's going to be a boss fight. Salter's on, I think, a 6-fight streak. Tokov, he's lost like one of his last 19 to Emiv or something like that signed with the UFC.
Yeah, Emiv. He just fought.
Emiv, yeah.
He just fought and beat Sam Alvey. And then I saw him fight in San Jose. Not the most recent San Jose card, but the one that Fedor was supposed to be on back in February or May or whatever. And he was very impressive.
Yeah. You like that dance he did?
Tokov?
Yeah, he did the same one in Ryzen.
Yeah.
Out and then did the twirly.
Him and
fist.
Fedor have that same death stare though. It's kind of creepy, especially when they sit them right next to each other and they're like, just I don't know. Like,
I mean, they might be warm guys, but yeah, they project when they want to. They project like some icy exterior. Tokov and the Nemkov brothers, and then there's Moldavsky. Moldavsky's in Bellator as well. I think at heavyweight. So he's in their picture. He's fairly new, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, Moldavsky lost to Amir Ali-Akbari and Ryzen in the semifinals.
well, that big tournament. Yeah.
And then Krokop took out Ali-Akbari to win the tournament, which was epic.
That was epic, for sure.
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
Best card of the year for me. I was freaking out by the end. Kron won. Kron beat Kawajiri in his fourth fight.
Speaking of Gracies, though, I mean, you had Naaman Gracie and fighting. I believe this his second opponent or third. I lost track.
In Bellator, I'm not sure in Bellator, but that was, I believe, his seventh pro fight.
And so he got the submission in the second round. Surprise, surprise.
He Gracied him up good. He
Gracied him up
at the very end. He was on him the whole time. It was great. It was a great fight.
That was a good one.
Great fight if you want to see like a grappling kind of clinic, or like at least someone who's just going. You know they're going to get it. It's just how's it going to come. When you got the crank, that was sweet.
For sure. That's a welterweight. So we got another welterweight contender there. Obviously a pretty competitive division right now within Bellator. And then there was a couple upsets with the boxing girls.
Yuleton and Heather Hardy's fight.
Yeah. Starting with the Heather Hardy fight, I mean, she got Rory McDonald. Her nose is like falling off her face, basically.
That was some ill shit. How tough is she? She kept coming. She kept getting tagged trying to get in. Couldn't get in, but she was like, I'm just going to keep coming. Like, I admire that. That was a ballsy performance, I thought.
Yeah, and then she ducked right into that head kick. That's what I had talked about with their first fight. I was in New York, they put the media up, and some of us media way up in the nosebleeds. But I mean, watching, just from the overhead, and it was like she kept. You know how boxers use head movement, but they use it differently than MMA fighters. And
right, because they don't have to worry about round kicks or knees.
Yeah.
If they lean, they're safe, and they can put more weight on that lead leg without getting chopped down.
And she was leaning hardcore in her first fight, and I was telling the guy, the media guys next to me, I was like, if she does this, if she fights a kickboxer and does this, she's gonna get Ronda Rousey. And like, lo and behold, she ducks right into a head kick, and that's what ultimately blasted her nose. But tough chick, very tough chick. Christina Williams, that was actually her first pro fight. So obviously we got a little prospect there.
And throwing kicks. And speaking of kicks, the Yuleton fight, they were kicks thrown, but they were like from distance. It was like the first 2 rounds, and I was already getting pretty lit up by that point. But it just seemed like they were filling out. The crowd was being respectful. There was like literally like 2 guys shouting something. Everyone else was just kind of chilling. They were doing their thing. Maybe everyone knew they were kind of new, but they both got, by the end of the fight, they were both looking roughed up, and it ended up being all right the third round. But that fight, I was really like, oh man, we really needed like someone to come out and bang some spinning shit to start the main card. Really just light it up right off. Yeah,
and that was really weird that did play out with that kind of range. And Yuleton or Juleton, I forget how to say her name, was throwing like a ton of kicks, and she comes from a boxing background, so that just didn't really make sense to me, from a game plan perspective.
I'm wondering if it was her I heard of that also has like some Taekwondo going on.
Yeah, no, I talked to her before the fights. I just talked to her briefly, and she had been training like kickboxing and other stuff, but I mean, her base was boxing.
Wow.
And I mean, I wasn't really sure. I mean, obviously it's something that she had worked on. It's not like your kicking looked bad or anything, but I feel like you should play to your strengths. Maybe
100%.
Maybe she was thinking Blaine was going to be expecting, the hands, and so that's why she did that, to try to throw her off. regardless, it didn't
Yeah.
work. She got upset.
Yeah, she would have been better off, keeping her feet planted, stop those takedowns, defensive wrestling, throw some hands probably. But it worked out. She can still fight. The good news is when Heather Hardy heals, they can still fight. They still have the boxing background to promote from. So it wasn't a total loss. And personally, the Hardy fight was, I thought, other than the Musasi Shlemenko, I thought it was the second best fight of the night.
Oh yeah, me
For me,
too. Yeah, definitely. Both those chicks
I don't know
came
how-
out to bang.
Yeah, I love that. And but I don't know how it came across on TV, but live in the arena, that fight, it was kind of electric in the air. They were feeling that.
Was it a Heather Hardy kind of crowd? I mean, obviously she's from New York and you're in Connecticut.
They both got a big pop, and I think people were aware of the fight. But was it Ryan Quinn?
Yeah.
He fought on the prelims, right?
No, he
got
was
a
on the main
huge
card.
pop. Oh, he ended up on the main card. He got a big old celebratory cheer from the crowd. Like, they were into him. Like, I gotta look that up. Is he training the areas?
He's from
Or
American
Jam or
Top
something.
Team, but I would bet that must be from the area. But he
Mm-hmm.
is part of American Top Team. I think he is from Connecticut, so
Yeah.
that's probably why. Had a lot of friends and family. He's had some pretty good wins. Lost to Syed Awad, but I mean, a lot of guys do.
That's
Syed
badass,
Awad's badass, so it's just gonna
man, he got
happen.
the skills.
So
Well, they have a lot of competitive divisions now. Like, maybe the fame hasn't kept up, but the talent is there now. Like, they've got guys, especially welterweight. Like, they got guys coming up like Joey Davis, and who else signed to welterweight? Logan Storley. He's welterweight,
Storley,
right?
yeah, he was on that last card. Oh my god, that was impressive.
He's got one coming up, and they got Gracie. They got a middleweight Gracie, but that fight was awful. What was it? Cato he fought?
He didn't
think
fight
they had-
Kato, did he?
Say again?
Oh, he did fight Kato. Yeah. Yeah.
Call him Cato, like the fucking TV show.
It's Sasaki Kato. I've talked to him a couple times. He's a great guy. Beat Joe Schilling twice, once in kickboxing, one in MMA.
That was stunning. That was stunning.
Yeah, that
Knockout
was.
showing, like, in both sports. That was crazy. That was not expected. That was a lot of surprise.
You know what he
That's
told
something
me?
like-
You know what he told me that was surprise. Well, he didn't tell me, but Joe Schilling told me that Kato told him after the fight. He's like, I don't want to do this fucking kickboxing anymore.
Oh, wow. Didn't he come out of a Japanese style where they wear like a head mask and you can do, full power strikes and things? I forget what it's called.
Oh, that ninja type, the real ninja shit.
That might be what he did. I don't want to presume. I know. I'm definitely ignorant on that. But I read it a while ago. I read some interviews with him. Seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
And he's like 8-2 now. Who they haven't fighting? I think they have Kato welcoming Chidi Njokuani to middleweight because he's missed weight 3 times in a row and he lost Koreshkov, so he's going up to middleweight, probably where he belongs. And they're gonna fight. That should be a good fight, a good strikers fight.
Yeah, definitely. That's on 189. Kato's definitely, obviously an excellent striker, knocking out Joe Schilling in his own sport. I mean, talk about injuries, man. Like, how many fights did we lose off of this card? We had the King Mo and the McGeary fight, which was supposed to be the co-main event. That
stung. That stung.
That didn't wind up happening. I think they
brought
found
in
they found a replacement for Liam McGeary, right? It was Bubba McDaniel, and then
out of Jackson. He
Yeah.
trained out of Jackson. He was coming in. He might have been moving up weight for that. I thought he was a middleweight. I could be wrong. I'm often wrong.
I think you're right though. I think he was at middleweight before this and took the fight at 205. It's probably
Right,
close to his
and-
walk around weight.
Right. And then McGeary, he broke his thumb, so they just pulled the whole fight. And then who else got pulled from that mess?
We had the Brennan Ward. We talked about this earlier. The Brennan Ward and the David Rickles fight, which had gotten moved to replace that fight as co-main event, and then that one got busted too. So by the end, they didn't even have a poster that they could put up that had the co-main event.
Right. saw that in the days before and the day off. I'm just like, they were like, fuck it.
We're not gonna make another
And
one.
then, you're right. And then Gracie lost his opponent too.
Yeah, so he was fighting a replacement fighter as well. I think he was supposed to fight a Mexican fighter, Javier Torres, looks like.
Oh, I see.
And that didn't happen.
I think that might have been all the, unless there was some prelims that I missed. I think that's all the fights that fell off. 3 fights affected, two dropped off completely and 1 got changed. It was pretty brutal. And I was looking forward to Rickles, so I want to see what the walkout was going to be this time.
Yeah. I was in the middle of writing up his interview and heard that the fight had gotten scrapped. He was having kind of a rough weight cut, but I think he really wanted to fight, so that was not the best.
Yeah, that's a shame. Rickles, he was McDaniel, he was upset that because he took the fight short notice and then got yanked. He's rightfully pissed. They should hit him off a little bit for that. I don't like that shit. Shouldn't cost a guy money to step up for the company. Hit him off a little bit. They got money.
You should be rewarded for being willing to help the company out. I feel like.
Right. It's well worth the money and like PR value. Like, oh, that's great. Still got something. So he's not out there saying, hey, I lost money on this. I promised people money. That was rough. It's not like these guys are rolling in money in MMA right now. Most of them.
For sure.
But I feel like the Brennan Ward, him not being on the card probably cost them 3,000 tickets sold.
He's that big. He's that big in Connecticut.
Yeah, man. A lot of the people I was there, I was trying to talk to people online, and it was a lot. He had a lot of representation there, even not on the card. They were like, "Well, I was coming for him."
And he always puts on exciting fights too. That's he hasn't been in a bad fight, and then I feel like Rickles, always is, usually in good fights too. So that was just a good matchup. To see them go at each other, but it just didn't work out. And hopefully we get that on a later card. We got quite a few cards coming up. I mean, there's a bunch to close out the year.
They do have a lot coming up. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the one Bellator 186, which is going to be at Penn State, is coming up just next week. I have a ton of interviews for that one. Talked to Linton Vassell, who's going to be fighting Ryan Bader for the belt, and McFarlane, who's fighting in the inaugural flyweight championship fight. Syed Awad, who's fighting Zach Freeman, who beat Pico. He had some interesting thoughts about that. Ed Ruth and Logan Storley, who are both some serious wrestling prospects. Both very good. I would say Storley's actually the more promising, just because he's really worked on his stand-up and has that wrestling to go do.
Yeah, it seems like Ruth's still putting it all together, but as far as his wrestling pedigree is insane. I think he's like a 3-time national champ.
Yeah, at Penn State. He was a 3-time national champ. And I think the only reason he wasn't 4-time was because he got suspended a year from the wrestling team.
That's rough. Yeah, you guys got to keep it together. There's a lot at stake for them. They got a promising future. Look at Jones.
For sure.
Without even getting into it, how many millions did he cost himself? It's not all about money, too. How much, like all the fame he had. Now he's tied to all that disgrace.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea what he got suspended for. It could have been, anything. Honestly, you know how colleges are. They're very strict about stuff.
Yeah, I'm not saying it may not have been PDs, it might have been fighting or some other rowdiness. It's hard to say. I can't remember. I probably read an article on it in the past, but I got a tiny brain. Stuff just flows right out of it afterwards. After a while, clears it out.
So, but we'll...
Hey,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, there's a guy, we got to talk about Musasi's boy who was on this card, his debut.
Who was
Costello
that?
Van Steenis. Costello Van Steenis.
Costello Van Steenis.
Yeah. And he's a middleweight like Musasi, and he came in. I think he came in at 8-1. He might be 9-1 now.
I take it he's Dutch as well.
Yeah, I think he's Dutch. He moved to Spain for a while and moved back. I'm a little fuzzy on it. I've been like the last couple weeks have been absolutely crazy, so I'm not running on a lot of sleep. But he came in and blasted the guy in just I think about 3 minutes, submission to strikes, and he came in. I guess Musasi when they signed him, he's like, I got a guy for you. You're my protege, and so he's in there now. He's in the same division, so they need a nice big fight for him. But I think if Musasi's hurt, the winner of Tokov and Salter those are pretty badass guys right there. Their recent record and just their overall ability.
Yeah,
I mean, them in the fight if he's got a heel.
I don't know, and who knows what happens with Shlemenko. I mean, he was over in M1, obviously, in Russia for a while. If he goes back to Russia, or I hope he stays, fighting in the States, they can find him some good opponents that'll, make him want to stay in the States. When I talked to him, he basically said that he had been waiting, for a good opponent. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, he's a serious dude, and probably he can get some good money in Russia. So
I'm sure he does. Yeah, I'm sure he's paid handsomely for those fights over in M1. So.
Yeah, they're still doing their thing. Fight Nights Global, they're doing their thing. A lot of big things going on in like wider. Just doesn't all pierce like the media, the English language media bubble. But there's a lot of big stuff going on, like the Rising card. They got like over a 10 share. They got like I think it peaked like 10.3 for arena and tensions fights. That's just badass. It's like probably like 10 million or more people.
Unfortunately, we can't say the same about this Bellator card. Apparently, did not do very well in the viewership. They haven't released.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. That's the correct word to use. They didn't release the peak. Usually, they release the peak viewers. That's part of the stats that they release, and they didn't release that this time. And I'm really curious.
That might actually come with a DVR +3.
True.
Which they always release after the fact. But I'm hazy on that. But that might be that's when they release that. Because comes out eventually. I would hope they would.
I'm just interested, because I mean, obviously, the card, wasn't exactly, filled to the brim with, fights top to bottom. But Gegard Mousasi versus Shlemenko is, that's a big fight, and so I'm wondering if people just tuned in, later on to see, the main event. What the viewership peaked around at the main event. That's what I'm curious to see.
And their peaks have been, even on some of the weakest cards, the peaks haven't always been all that bad. So it might be they end up around 800 or something, but only reflected in the last couple fights.
Yeah, and like you said,
they lost a lot off that card. They lost a lot. That card got ripped to shreds.
Yeah, King Mo versus McGeary, that was a big blow. I don't think that can be understated. It's a big fight. You got two names.
Ex-champion, ex-Strikeforce champion, like some serious dudes in there. Big guys, too. Crowd loves. Because, especially from where I was sitting, like a million miles away, looking down at a steep incline, the big guys like Mousasi and Shlemenko and Stinas, I was like, yeah, now I can see these guys, Don't want to always have to watch the big screen. And so the big guys, I feel like the live crowds, they love that shit. Come on in and bang it out.
True, yeah. The bigger guys definitely gets the in-person crowd going. I mean, on TV too, when you watch it on TV. But I definitely, if you ever been to the fights in person, then you understand it's just a little bit different when you get the big guys in there. I don't know. I guess it's just human nature.
That's the stuff that got me into MMA anyway. Like the big guys fighting, open weight fights, big old freak show fights, and the heavyweights, and some of the great light heavyweights. That's kind of what started to draw me in from kickboxing. But it was actually Kung Lee and Frank Shamrock. That fight pulled me in all the way. That was a great fight.
Yeah, it was. And so
the crowd was madness.
Mad. Frank Shamrock, man. So yeah, we'll definitely be back again. We got this Bellator 186 card coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend. Like I said, quite a few interviews, so we'll probably play a couple of those for you guys. Yeah, we'll be covering pretty much all the Bellator events going on. It's a heavy schedule, honestly. From now to the end of the year, they really packed it up. We got, once Bellator 186 happens, it's like almost every other week. You got the 187 in Dublin, which is a co-promoted event with Bama.
Right, that's the next week.
Gallagher did get hurt, but they got AJ McKee to step up and fight an Irish guy. And then they have the Bama, that's with Bama. And then they have the Bellator 188 and Israel, Pitbull versus Pitbull championship fight. And Bellator 189, Bellator 190, Bellator 191, and another, I think the Bellator 191 is another co-promoted with Bama. That's in England.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's been anything announced for that, has there?
Michael McDonald's going to be on it, the unannounced opponent.
Oh, and then Valerie Letourneau is also on that one.
Right, that's right. And on Wikipedia it says Michael Page versus to be determined. I don't know if that's real or someone fucking around.
I think that's someone fucking around.
But that would be good. They need to just basically offer him and Daly enough money that they just fight. Kickbox, box, grapple, sumo, do whatever, stick fighting. Just have a fight in the UK and make it a big card,
That would be huge. I was in London when the brawl broke out, and the English fans are just, they're insane. No, not to like say anything bad about American fans, but I don't know. There's just something different about the UK fans. They do their chants, and they have like songs and stuff for their fighters, and it's a cool atmosphere. It's a little different.
They were doing it up for Gallagher when he fought over there.
In Dublin, when he was in Dublin last?
Yeah, they were going crazy during the fight. They cheered like crazy when he took the guy down, too. They don't care. They're just like, something happened, yeah. Just ready to freak out. I like that attitude, though.
Yeah,
there were moments in the Bellator event where it was like that, where it was kind of edge of the seat, especially the Hardy fight and the Shlemenko-Mousasi fight. That especially, because it looked like Shlemenko, especially by the end of the round, it's like he might actually finish him. So I feel it's really jacked up here.
If it had gone, if the fight had gone to fourth or fifth round, who knows what's going to happen. Unfortunately, Bellator's not doing, it, and people forget, UFC didn't always do 5-round main events either. That's kind of a more recent thing. It used to just be, three rounds, and then they changed it to any main event on any card was going to be 5 rounds, and that's a new thing on it. For guys who have been following MMA for a while, that's kind of a new thing. So it'll just take Bellator a while to figure stuff out. They got some stuff to figure out for sure. The 5-round main events, that'd be nice. Also, I know the UK fans are always hitting me up on Twitter about not being able to watch it over there. So
yeah, that's criminal not having it live on whatever it is, Spike UK. Is that going to become Paramount UK or something like that?
They have weird. I don't when I was over there in England, I did not understand their channels at all. They also have a channel called Dave's TV or something. That is
like Stoner channel.
I kind of, yeah. But
it is? Oh, shit.
It seemed like, honestly, that it was playing like American stuff. That's what it was. And so it had like stupid like Discovery Channel type shows that were like American on there. And they also apparently play some of the Bellator fights. I don't know. It's very confusing.
Viacom has a lot of moving parts, and they're
Yeah,
very clumsy overall. Like they do some great things, have some great ideas, but
they're
they
very slow
definitely are still
moving.
working it out.
Yeah, it's gonna take
So
them a
again,
while to iron all these kinks out. Um,
especially showing it live. You know, you got to show it live. I mean, I don't get to see everything live, but some people, that's really what they're not interested if it's not that kind of what's going to
well,
happen.
if you're active on Twitter, it just kind of sucks because I mean you're gonna find out what happens. You know, everybody's gifting stuff, everybody's tweeting out the results. It's hard to
Yeah,
avoid.
you have to go into like Twitter exile, but
Yeah,
I just give up. I'm just like, well, on the plus side, you know, it does spoil the results, but on the plus side, if it's a shitty fight, I don't necessarily have to watch it right away or ever.
yeah. I've definitely been able to like follow fights just from using my phone at work, like the
Yeah.
that Cerrone Till card. Like I
hmm
maybe watched like 5 minutes of the whole card, and otherwise I was following on my phone.
Yeah, I had to follow some stuff on the thing. I didn't get to see all of the big Bellator pay-per-view because I went to Patriot Place, to the theater there, where the stadium is, to
Hmm.
see it, and they were like, no, we canceled the showing.
Jeez,
So I drove out to Foxborough just for fun. Did a nice loop back. That was joyous. I was really happy.
are you being
But
sarcastic?
they said no tickets have been sold, for no one bought any tickets. So I just showed up, and it was just me. I left sad.
That's too bad. Oh man, yeah,
That's
that's
okay. It's something about Fedor. I'm cursed. My favorite fighter of all time. I consider him still the greatest to ever fight. You know, in his prime. And I miss meeting him, and I miss seeing a lot of the card. As far as seeing it right away. I mean, you know, it's the internet. You can see it right afterwards, but
yeah. They
it's not
did
the
show
same.
it. They showed it. They did a re-airing. I think what was it? A few weeks later, and the re-airing
hmm
did like amazing numbers. I think it was like 750,000 people, and then it peaked at like over 1 million. So a ton of
Oh,
people watched.
that's respectable.
Yeah, a ton of people watched that re-airing of the Bellator NYC card.
I wonder what kind of rating they would have pulled if they put that on Spike. If they put the whole card on Spike instead of just leading up to Davis and then switching over.
Yeah, that
How it
was
would
an
have been
odd
huge.
structure. I was really confused, and it really threw off just kind of the flow of things too. Because in the arena, it's like you know you got the you know just the 3 round fights. Gallagher has a good win, and it's like everything's rolling, and then you hit this 5 round. I would call it kind of a snooze fest between Bader and shit.
And Davis, yeah, and they
Yeah,
just kind of
Davis.
canceled each other out.
Yeah, which they like they did the first time. Um,
Yeah, it's just their two styles. They probably respect each other's wrestling a bit much, or don't want to push to the point where one of them's going to break, and they just kind of.
so
I don't
having
want to diss them because they're both elite, but like that wasn't an enjoyable fight to watch.
and
I'll put
some
it that way.
matchups are just like that. That's just how matchups go. But then it was like okay, so you had a 5 round fight, and then it was like and then we had these your other main card fights, and then more 5 round, which thankfully the Fedor one was ended very quickly. So it kind of got us back into the groove. But that was just the pacing was like nothing I had ever seen before.
Oh, really? See, I didn't see the whole thing continuously, so I had no idea. I appreciate the heads up. That's good to know about things. I mean, as far as the Mohegan Sun card, everything ran like a dream. It was fast, man. One of the guys even walked out before the lights were on the ramp. He was already in the cage, and then the lights came up for the other guy. That's how fast they were. They were pacing it. They were pushed through. I don't even know how many fights were on it, but they went through them. That was one thing we didn't have to worry about.
So no post limbs.
No,
That's
no.
surprising because usually they have to do
Everyone,
post limbs.
nope. They announced. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. If it's just a time issue with renting the arena or what. But once they announced the decision, everyone had a good boo. Well, it was like probably at least a third had a good boo. They just left, and I started looking for bobbleheads.
And you got them, man. I give you the heads up that drunk people were gonna be leaving those babies behind. I wish I had gotten
Thank you.
more when I had gone, but I just got the one. So.
Well, I searched for them until I was told we had to leave. They're like, you have to
Good
go.
man.
Here's the guy who was like in the middle section, like, there's got to be more. Fiending for bobbleheads. But I did get a few. I was able to bless a guy I train with one, just as a surprise. Sent you one. I'm donating two to Reddit, to our MMA. For a contest.
give the Reddit subreddit a shout out.
Yeah, man, large forums. I think it's up to about a little over 400,000 subscribers. Reddit.com/r/RMMA. No shit. You know what I'm saying? RMMA on Reddit. And good place. And we're trying to get fighters to come on there and do, AMAs, ask me anything, and just interact with all the fans. But I'm going to do a contest. It's going to be the best haiku praising Ryzen. Pride Reborn in Japan. Ryzen Fighting Federation, the best haiku. I'm going to send them a signed Hoist Gracie bobblehead, a signed poster. Because I don't need two. My lady got hers, so we're going to share that, and I'll bless somebody.
Yeah, your pinned tweet right now is roses are red, violets are blue. I got to sign Royce. Well, it's his at name, but Royce Gracie bobblehead. This doesn't even need to rhyme.
Hell yes, that's how I felt about the whole event. I was like, I missed the 3.5 fights in the beginning, waiting in line. Got to shake his hand. He signed the thing. Got a picture with him. It was magical. I was like, he put his arm around me for a picture. I almost tapped. I didn't want to kick in any killer instincts and go out like that. But missed a few fights. Had to go in and out of the arena for our guest when he showed up just before the main card. But all in all, it was just a thrilling night, and almost had that what people would have seen as a major upset, but what I would have just seen as like, yeah, man, probably had a 1/3 chance to kick his ass. And sometimes people get thrown off by fame, like Rousey and Holm. The odds were way off. And Holm's training with Jones at Jackson's and getting all the tips and things. It's like, you guys are crazy. What was that, like 10-1 or something?
I don't know if it was that crazy. Maybe it was that crazy. I think it was similar to what the Mousasi ones, though. It was like 8-1. So if the decision had gone the other way, it would have been one of the biggest upsets MMA has seen for sure.
Yeah, and it's just that the bookies trying to balance the books anyway. So I mean, the odds just reflect where the money's going after it opens.
Yeah, it actually
betting on Moose.
A lot of people did bet on Moose because the lines opened up, and Mousasi was only like a plus 365, plus 355 or something. So yeah, he went from plus 355 to plus 800. So that kind of tells you where the money was going.
That seems about right. Plus 300 was about where I had him.
Yeah, that would make more sense, right? And then, but plus 800, that's craziness. I don't know about that.
That's the bettors moving the lines. Sometimes they don't, like, say if Conor fought Nurmagomedov, like, he might even be a favorite in that fight. But stylistically, he's a dead man.
The Conor fights never, the betting lines on Conor fights never make sense. They're always...
It's just...
Well, the fans get in there with their chump change and change the line, and then at the as the fight gets closer, then the big dogs come and bet against him. At least like in his last couple fights. In his last, I would say this has happened in the second Nate Diaz fight, and the Eddie Alvarez fight, and the Mayweather fight. So his last 3 fights.
Yeah, and the Mayweather fight, what was it in the end? Was it 5-1?
It jumped all over the place. It got down to the high 400s, like 5-1, and I think I'm not sure where it ended, but it was something like that.
Yeah, because that did not reflect the reality where you even smaller and older and 2 years retired, it's still Floyd Mayweather. You're trying to put on boxing shoes and go in there and throw with the larger gloves without the clinch. At one point, Conor, did you catch when Conor tried to panic wrestle?
Yeah.
he shut.
Take
in
the
one
back.
of the later rounds. Yeah, he was starting to get tired. He did that, but he actually he put a shoulder in and almost shot for a single.
I see that in kickboxing a lot. I don't know why. I was watching. Joe Schilling was fighting somebody in Italy, and
Yeah.
the guy shot for a like he literally shot for a takedown, a single
He
leg
just got
takedown.
he just got rattled and was like, "Go for it."
Yeah, it must
Diverted
he
to some
must have
other
trained
coach.
MMA, so his instincts just kicked in and he shot for a takedown. I've seen that quite a bit with the guys who aren't very experienced in kickboxing and train multiple martial arts. It's just kind of
Right.
funny.
Well, especially like Gabby Garcia when she fought that poor girl. She was already bigger than her, and she like soccer kicked her because she's been training for Pride rules. So she's like, when they go down, you kick them in the head.
Oh man,
And
Gabby.
she tried to jump over into the other rule set and couldn't do it. Who else had trouble with that? Bob Sapp had some trouble with that.
Gabby's actually, it's weird. I mean, because she's done some training at Alliance, which is where I do, I do like a little bit of kickboxing there. I'm not like a pro or anything, but I train. Sometimes they mix the classes, and I've actually
Yeah.
like held pads for her before, and vice versa.
Hmm.
And she's like super nice and everything, and then you see her in the cage, and she's like trying to gouge somebody's eyes out, and it just doesn't really add up.
Yeah, that sucked too. That's two fights in a row, and then they still haven't made the Jazzy Alpha female fight. I'm ready for that. They cut the wrestling promo when she beat up Karate Granny, and the Granny Army was in there, and then they did a three-way. It was magical. Everything was set up. It was ready. It was primed. It was almost like when DC, he's the champion, and Beta's in the back, and he's, come on, Beta, calls him easiest fight in the division. You should just book that fight right away. Next day, make it worth their while. Book that fight right with the momentum. Sometimes in MMA it feels like there's a lag, and the UFC does a better job than Bellator following up after events with
Yeah,
just media and media placement
true.
and storylines and things like that. They've got that down.
Yeah, the media.
Bellator needs to get that shit together. They need to like jump on things, even if you got to throw some extra money. Like MVP daily in the UK has to happen. You can't not have that fight and go to UK. That would be an insult at this
Well,
point.
Coker's very aware of that. I know Coker knows that. It's just about working out all the details. We do have some
Oh, yeah, big time.
scrums. Nolan, also known as MMA Kings on Twitter, got some video of the scrums afterwards that are going to be going up on our YouTube channel on MMA Today. So definitely check those out. But yeah, Bellator could do better with the media, definitely following up the fights. The only time
100%.
they've only done the like real press conference style a few times, and they should probably do that more often.
Yeah, they did the individuals. I'm like, don't copy that. That's not as good. Like, get everyone up there so there's a parade of questions, even if you have to line people up and you know how many you have.
Yeah, that's how they did in New York City. They were set up to do that for the last Fedor fight, the one that was supposed to be in San Jose. And obviously things just didn't really work out, so it was kind of like a half-assed thing. But they were set up to do it at least. And I definitely think that they should do that more often. Hopefully they do it for the double, the one coming up in Penn State. That would make sense since you have two title fights, to have the little stage there, because you got
and you got all the drunk Penn State people there who are going to be there ready to go and scream and act completely off the hook. They take advantage of that. They should. They did stuff. I saw them in the stadium for a show. They were posing with the mascot. I saw one of them. I think it was Ruth was posing with the hockey team there. I mean,
Nice.
those guys are legends. So they've been there and they're excited about that. But yeah, definitely Bellator. I think it's a staffing issue. Viacom doesn't appreciate how much the UFC goes through to push the media the way they do.
Yeah.
They must have an intense line item for that kind of operation because it's so smooth. There's always a story. There's never a division. Go ahead.
I was just saying, in both good and bad ways.
Well, it's true. They kind of use it to lowball fighters, playing them off each other. But as far as just from just a neutral perspective, they are very effective at controlling the media now, for better or worse, that way. And Viacom needs to appreciate that. But apparently, with the Paramount rebrand, you're going to get more resources. They'll be able to, get more things done. They need stuff. They need people on the internet making sure the media is out there and people booking interviews for all the roster.
Well,
There's still a long way to go.
We got quite a few of those coming up. Should be on our next show. I'm not sure exactly when we'll meet again, but it will be before the Penn State card. You might even go to the event. Nothing's set in stone, but 50-50 chance maybe. Would you give 50-50?
Yeah, I'm down to do it, and I'll split my bobbleheads with you. They're doing Randy. Have you seen the Randy Couture one? It looks more like Fedor than Fedor's.
Oh, I think the Randy one was the worst one I've seen. Yeah, it doesn't look anything like him.
Well, the Hoist one doesn't much. I mean, I cherish the one that I get to keep, and my lady.
I didn't think the Royce one was bad. I definitely think the Randy one's bad though.
Yeah, I mean, I forget the company, but yeah, made in China. They're doing them in mass, just as a bonus thing. But I felt like it was a nice gesture, and for me, it made my event. Like actually shaking Hoist's hand and then snapping a picture with a legend like that. Right way. If they had canceled the rest of the night, I would have been glowing today still. Because I got that experience as a fan, and so I'm appreciative of that. I love Coker the way he pushes like respect for the martial arts and respect for the legends, even when they're older.
Yeah,
don't need to bash anybody.
Bellator does a great job of that. They really do. Even on down to their NASCAR co-promotion type stuff. They had Roy Nelson out there signing stuff.
Michael Chandler too.
Michael Chandler. So they do a great job of making sure that the fans have a great experience, which is good for them. Definitely something that others should follow.
Yeah, it just gives a warm feeling. Like the martial arts, very serious things, but not everyone has to be bickering. When it happens organically, that's cool, but not everyone should be doing it. Like stuff with GSP and Bisping, it's like, why you got GSP kind of acting rowdy like that? That wasn't his draw. That wasn't his appeal before. He was the reserved guy.
It must have been the aliens. The aliens probably got to him and made him angry.
Some kind of probe we don't want to know about.
Yeah,
setting off his hormones. Setting off his temperament.
He hasn't been the same guy since the aliens, man. It's one of those occurrences.
Hey, who you got in that fight? Who do you think's gonna take that one?
I would take Bisping.
Size.
So you got
not just size. He's very good.
It's the size. I think but you break. I mean, that is a good point. The size is probably the number one factor. GSP is not, a middleweight. And then you just mix in the styles. You have Bisping, who has very good wrestling defense and takedown defense, and is able to get up off of his back when he is taken down. And I would say better striking, better boxing at least than GSP. And to add in the length and everything, I mean, it's gonna be tough. I think it's an uphill battle for GSP for sure.
Yeah. Now, how do you like GSP's chances in that fight versus the other top middleweights that are in the UFC, like Rockhold? How do you see? Like, in my mind,
I don't think
Rockhold would just fold him into a little ball.
I don't think that's a good. I think Bisping is one of the on the lower end of the middleweight division, so he's getting an easier. I mean, even though he's the champion right now, I mean, if we're just talking about skill, I mean, I would put Bisping, at least towards the bottom of the top 5 or 6 fighters in that division. So
I mean, we're talking about a sport with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fighters, maybe even thousands by now, middleweight. So I mean, he's elite. He's upper elite, but within that, there are levels. And yeah, I put some other guys above him. I don't begrudge him trying to make money, but he's not like, now I'm going to defend against.
Well, there's
now I'm gonna fight the other top guys, Jacare. They're fighting each other, and he's kind of chilling.
There's weight classes for a reason. I mean, there's weight classes for a reason, and GSP has fought his whole career at 170. So to come up to to come back and say you're gonna fight at 185 when you're coming out of retirement, it's just, I don't know.
And he got wobbled by Hendricks, and Hendricks hits hard. Pre-USDA Hendricks hit especially hard, if that's not rude to say. But he or pre-weight cut issues, maybe. But but he doesn't hit like, I wouldn't say as hard as Bisping. Bisping's like a size or two up from him.
Yeah.
Which is why when these guys move up, they're like, oh, now that's why I don't think John Jones is going to go to heavyweight. He'll be a little guy.
For sure.
He'll be like 230, 240, but he's got long legs, nice chopping down, heavyweight leg kick type frame. You know, like it's not going to translate necessarily as well. It's hard to be above your natural weight, your optimal weight, and thrive. Frankie Edgar is a guy who could do it. Fedor did it for, you know, a large part of his 10-year reign, and but it's not an easy thing. You know, these guys move up. So like when I hear like Rory McDonald talking about going to light heavyweight, I'm like, I will watch the shit out of that, but that's hard.
Yeah, I think Vassal took offense to Rory and Mousasi both kind of saying the same things, where, you know, I'm going to be a three division champion or whatever. And Vassal was like, really? You're going to come up to 205? I'd like to see that, basically.
Well, he's a big guy. He's tall. He's got like an 82-inch wingspan.
Yeah, he's got that John Jones reach, man. He's huge.
He's close. I think he's like just a couple inches shy of that. Like, he's an enormous guy, and he just throttled McGarry, or submitted McGarry. So like, he's obviously highly capable.
He would
I mean, if you give that guy size, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I think he would smother, like just smother them. He's got that nasty wrestling, and he's a true light heavyweight, big light heavyweight. So
right, he's an optimal light heavyweight, and if he did like an Overeem and got on the horse meat, he'd be a big heavyweight. He's got a big frame to put stuff onto.
So that's what I'm saying. There's weight classes for a reason. You know, that just kind of brings it all together. But yeah, good first show. We're gonna roll with the round cage, unless someone has a better idea.
We'll come up with the glorious podcast of absolute victory. Has that one been used?
The glory.
Probably has. You know what I mean? Or just call it the sweater.
The sweater. I like it. We'll get some good suggestions from the fans, probably.
Yeah. Hey, thanks. I really appreciate you having me on. Sorry if I've been rambling a little bit because I'm sleep deprived. It's been a big 2 weeks for me, so
that's what we're all about. That's what podcasts are made for. They're made for rambling. And yeah, we'll be back before Bellator 186. Like I said, got a ton of interviews from these guys fighting on that card. We'll take a look at the card, and then whether or not you go to it, we'll still talk about it afterwards. So plenty of stuff to look forward to.
Definitely.
And we'll hopefully do some interaction with the fans, and you know, get you guys some a chance to win some bobbleheads through some form of contest or just, you know, whatever fun shit we make up.